I never thought I'd applaud my own funeral while wearing someone else's skin. That night at the year-end gala, as the crystal chandeliers of the Waldorf Astoria glittered like shattered promises, my brother Ethan raised his glass and declared himself the unchallenged king of Sterling Dynamics, the company we'd bled for together. And me? I was trapped in the body of his perfect wife, Elena, clapping like a goddamn puppet on strings, my real soul screaming inside. It started with a deal we made in the back of a dive bar in Brooklyn, back when we were just two kids from Queens with fire in our guts and nothing but each other. Ethan and I, Arya Sterling, had grown up in the shadow of our father's empty wallet and our mother's endless shifts at the diner. He was the charmer, the one who could talk his way out of a burning building. I was the builder, the one who coded through the nights and turned his wild ideas into silicon gold. Sterling Dynamics was our baby, a cybersecurity firm that locked down Wall Street's dirtiest secrets. By 2025, we were valued at $500 million, and the shares were split 50-50, ironclad in our blood oath agreement. But blood turns to ink when power's on the line. Ethan had always eyed the throne, whispering about scaling up while I buried myself in the trenches. The betrayal hit like a server crash at peak hours, embezzlement charges, pinned on me. 2 million siphoned from client escrow accounts, funds I'd never touched. The feds raided our Tribeca office at dawn, cuffing me in front of the team I'd handpicked. Ethan stood there, eyes wide with feigned shock, his hand on my shoulder like a brother mourning a sister lost to the wolves. "It'll blow over, Arya," he murmured as they dragged me away. "I'll fix this." He didn't fix it. He torched it. From Rikers, I watched the headlines. Sterling Dynamics founder charged in massive fraud. My trial was a circus, prosecutors painting me as the ruthless ice queen who'd sacrificed ethics for empire. Ethan's testimony sealed it. "She changed, Your Honor." The pressure. It broke her. The jury bought it hook, line, and sinker. 5 years. Minimum security in upstate New York. My shares forfeited to cover restitution. Ethan swooped in as interim CEO, then permanent, consolidating everything under his name. By release day, he'd diluted my equity to zero, claiming fiduciary duty to save the company. Parole came early, good behavior, they said. But freedom tasted like ash. I hit the streets of Manhattan with a cardboard box of belongings and a vendetta etched in my veins. Ethan threw me scraps, a consulting gig under NDA. Just enough to keep me leashed. Family first, right, sis? He'd say over coffee at his Upper East Side penthouse. Elena perched beside him like a porcelain doll, her smile as vacant as her trust fund. Elena. God. If I'd known then what I know now. She was the secret Ethan buried deepest, the fragile heiress he'd married for her connections, not her heart. Old money from Boston Brahmins, whispers of mental health struggles she'd drowned in Xanax and yoga retreats. But she saw through him, in her quiet way. Late nights, she'd slip me voicemails. "Arya, he's lying about the books. Check the offshore accounts." I did. From my shitty studio in Hell's Kitchen, hacking back doors I'd left in the system. The trails led straight to Ethan, shell companies in the Caymans, laundered through our own software. He'd framed me to cover his tracks, sacrificing his sister for a clean slate. I confronted him once, in the steam of his private sauna after a board meeting. "You son of a bitch," I hissed, water beading on my skin like sweat from a fever dream. He laughed, towel slung low. "Prove it, Arya." You're toxic now, parole officer on your ass. NDAs choking you. One wrong move. And you're back inside. He was right. Power wasn't just money, it was the lawyers, the lobbyists, the quiet threats to my PO. I needed leverage. Something nuclear. That's when I met Dr. Harlan Voss. A ghost from our early days. Voss was the neurotech whiz who'd consulted on our first big contract, brain-computer interfaces for DARPA. By 2025, he'd gone rogue, peddling experimental swaps in a nondescript lab in Jersey City. Body transference, he called it. Voice like gravel over whiskey. Not magic, nanites, and neural mapping. Swap consciousness for 24 hours. Reversible with the counter serum. Pricey, but untraceable. His eyes gleamed behind Coke bottle glasses. What's your poison? I didn't hesitate. Elena. She'd been my shadow confidant, slipping me intel while Ethan golfed with senators. But lately, her messages stopped, radio silence that reeked of control. Voss's scan showed it. Ethan had her doped up, monitored, her accounts frozen. She wants out, Voss said, showing me her encrypted plea. Help me, Arya. The swap was her idea, born in desperation during one of her retreats. We'd sink in Voss's van outside the penthouse. Me slipping into her body while she ghosted into mine, safe, anonymous, waiting in a safe house. The procedure was hell, IVs pumping fire through my veins, Voss muttering about synaptic bridges as my vision fractured. Then nothing. Blackout. I woke to silk sheets and the scent of Chanel No. 5. Staring at Elena's manicured hands. Mirror confirmed it, her heart-shaped face. Honey blonde waves. The faint scar from a childhood fall on her collarbone. My voice, her voice, came out breathy. Foreign. Holy shit. Ethan was in the shower, humming off-key to some Springsteen track. I dressed in her closet, tailored sheaths and Louboutins that pinched like accusations, and joined him for breakfast on the terrace. The Hudson glittering below like fool's gold. Morning. Love, he said, pecking my cheek without looking up from his tablet. The irony burned. Here I was, playing house with the man who'd buried me alive. The year-end party loomed. Ethan's coronation. Invites only for the elite, VCs from Sandhill Road. Paul's from D.C. The kind of crowd that smelled weakness like blood in the water. My plan crystallized in Elena's reflection. Infiltrate as her. Expose the fraud mid-toast. Watch his empire crumble. Voss had the counter serum timed for post-party extraction. Elena, in my body, would feed me the final proof from the outside, a thumb drive with server logs. Timestamped transfers. Ethan's digital fingerprints. But plans in the viper's nest twist. First night in her skin. Ethan pulled me close after dinner. His breath hot with bourbon. You've been distant.
Él.
Everything okay? His hands roamed. Entitled. And I froze, trapped in intimacy I couldn't stomach. I played along, murmuring affirmations, my mind mapping escape routes. He didn't notice the edge in her eyes, the way I held back just enough. Days blurred into a tense masquerade. Board meetings where I nodded through Ethan's bluster. Lunch with his mistress, a junior exec named Tara. All sharp suits and sharper ambition, where I gleaned crumbs of his side deals. Elena's phone buzzed with warnings from her therapist. He's escalating the meds. I flushed them down the marble sink. Pulse racing. Power hummed in this body. Doors opened. Whispers parted. But so did the paranoia. A private eye tailed me to yoga, Ethan's insurance policy. I lost him in the subway, heart hammering like a glitchy algorithm. The hook deepened on Christmas Eve. Ethan hosted the family, our aging mother, flown in from Queens. Her eyes milky with cataracts and misplaced pride. "Look at you too," she cooed, patting my Elena's hand. "Power couple." Ethan grinned, carving turkey with surgical precision. Later, alone in the guest room, he cornered me. "Arya's out of control, sis. Calling with threats. If she shows." His voice dropped. "Lethal. We end her." Elena, gasped theatrically. But inside, Arya seethed. The bastard had contingency plans, a staged overdose. Pinned on my instability. He wasn't just cunning, he was a black hole, devouring loose ends. New Year's Eve dawned gray. The city pulsing with pre-party frenzy. Voss's update. Elena was secure. Drive ready for drop at the gala. I slipped into Elena's gala gown, emerald silk that clung like regret, and rode the elevator down. Ethan's arm possessive around my waist. The Waldorf ballroom was a fever dream, jazz quartets swinging low. Waiters in tuxes gliding with caviar trays. The air thick with cigar smoke and cutthroat ambition. Execs clustered like wolves, toasting Ethan's visionary leadership. I scanned for the drop point, a coat check alias boss had arranged. Then the hook twisted. As Ethan took the podium, lights dimming to spot him solo, I felt it a prickle at my nape, like code compiling wrong. My vision swam. Voss's voice crackled in the hidden earpiece. Anomaly. Nanites destabilizing early. Hold position. Panic clawed. The serum window was closing. Ethan cleared his throat, mic feedback whining like a siren. "Ladies and gentlemen, partners, friends, tonight, we celebrate not just survival, but dominance. Sterling Dynamics isn't just secure, it's unbreakable. And to that end," he paused, eyes locking on mine in the front row, affectionate, for the crowd. But I saw the flicker, calculation. "To my wife, Elena, my rock. And to the future, free of shadows." Applause thundered. I clapped, palms slick, the drive burning in my clutch. 20 minutes to extraction. Tara sidled up, breath sour with martinis. "Boss man's on fire tonight. You okay? You look off." Her gaze lingered, suspicious. "Off. I was a ghost in drag." Unraveling. The quartet struck up, Auld Lang Syne early. Couples swaying as midnight crept. Ethan pulled me onto the floor, his grip iron. One dance. El. For old times. Up close. His cologne choked me, same as the day he testified against me. "You know I love you," he murmured, lips brushing my ear. But Arya's poison. If she crashes this. Liar. The drive, Elena's drop, waited in the powder room. I excused myself, heels clicking like countdowns. In the marble hush, I retrieved it, sleek black, labeled truth. Plug into any port. And Ethan's Cayman web unspools, irrefutable, viral. Back in the fray. Voss. 5 minutes. Vans curbside. Heart slamming. I weaved toward the AV booth. Ethan's speech winding down to Q&A. A VC in pinstripes cornered him. "Ethan. Rumors of irregularities. Your sister's old stake." Ethan laughed. Smooth as oiled code. Ancient history. She took the fall for bad calls. We're clean now. That's when ice struck. Slipping the drive into the projection rig, child's play for the woman who'd built the firewall, I hit play. The screen flickered. Not slides, but ledgers. Transfers dated pre-raid. Ethan's sigils glowing like neon indictments. Gasps rippled. Ethan whirled, face draining to putty. What the? Security surged, but I was already melting into the crowd. Elena's poised my shield. Chaos bloomed, shouts. Phones whipping out. Flashes popping like gunfire. Ethan bellowed my name, no. Hers. Elena. Stop this. I locked eyes across the melee. His mask cracking into raw fury. You bitch, he mouthed. Realization dawning. The swap, how? Voss's anomaly. Perhaps a trace he'd planted. But it was too late. Feds would swarm by dawn. His empire. Ash. I hit the side exit. Rain sluicing the alley like absolution. Voss's van idled. Elena, in my body, grinning feral from the wheel. Drive, I gasped, collapsing in. The counter-serum bit like ice. Synapses realigning in a blaze of white. Back in my skin, I flexed fingers that felt like home, scarred knuckles from coding marathons, not spa-soft palms. We peeled out, sirens wailing distant. Elena, restored, hugged me fierce. He's done. But as Manhattan blurred, doubt gnawed. My phone buzzed, anonymous text. Nice show. Sis. But you forgot the footnotes. Attached, a file. I opened it, stomach dropping. The ledgers. Twisted. Not Ethan's alone. My sigils too. Backdoors I'd coded in 23. Desperate for a loan after mom's chemo bills. I'd skimmed. Just a little. To keep us afloat. Ethan found out. Covered it with his own fraud. Then flipped the script, framing me to bury both sins. The embezzlement? Ours. A shared grave. He'd played me. Yes, but I'd handed him the shovel. Twist knifed deep, villain and victim. Entwined. The drive exposed him, but ripples would lap at me, audit trails. Old emails. Parole revoked? Or worse. Complicity charges? Ethan. Cornered. Might drag me down. Trading truths for a plea. We ditched the van in Jersey. Voss melting us into shadows. Elena vanished to her family's Cape Cod compound. A ghost no more. Me? I ghosted too. Crashing with a coder buddy in Austin, new ID. Black market crypto gigs. Months later. News hit. Ethan indicted. Sterling sold off. Our mother weeping on CNN about family torn apart. Happy ending? Hell if I know. I got revenge. But the mirror shows a woman who built her own cage. Ethan's rotting in white-collar hell. But freedom's a glitch, one hack from crash. Was he the monster? Or was I the echo? Readers, you tell me. In America's grind, we all swap skins eventually. Who's wearing yours? The fallout from that night at the Waldorf didn't just burn Ethan's world, it scorched mine to the bone, leaving scars that itched like bad code under the surface. For weeks, I holed up in that Austin crash pad. A converted garage off 6th Street with peeling paint and a mini fridge humming like a guilty conscience. My buddy Jack's fellow Rikers alum, tattooed circuits snaking up his arms, kept the door bolted and the Wi-Fi encrypted. You're a legend, are ya? He'd say, cracking a lone star. But legends get hunted. He wasn't wrong. Feds circled like vultures, Ethan's lawyers leaked my name and motions, painting me as the vengeful ex-con puppeteering his devoted wife. Elena, radio silent. Her Boston fortress a vault. Sleep came in fits. Haunted by the swap's afterburn, phantom itches where Elena's nerves had mapped over mine. Whispers of her perfume clinging to my dreams. I jolt awake. Fists clenched, replaying the gala, Ethan's face crumpling like wet cardboard. The crowd's murmurs swelling to a roar. Catharsis? Sure. For about 5 seconds. Then reality crashed in. The file he'd sent. That damning footnote exposing our joint rot. I'd stolen first. Small-time desperation to fund Mom's treatments when Ethan balked at unnecessary expenses. He discovered it during a routine audit. Not with outrage, but opportunity. We'll fix it together, he'd said. Then rerouted the skim through his Cayman pipes, bloating it to 2 mil. When the heat came, he pinned it all on me, testimony polished by K Street fixers. Evidence doctored in the cloud. Deep betrayal? Ours was a hydra, heads multiplying in the dark. But revenge isn't a clean delete, it's a virus. Spreading. Jax scored me a gig freelancing for a startup in the Hill Country, penetration testing their agritech firewalls. Ironic as hell. Days blurred into screens. So viel Blosk as my muet. The Texas sun baking the paranoia out of me drop by drop. Mom called weakly, voice frail over the line from her assisted living in Flushing. Ethan saying awful things.
Arya.
About you. And the money. I'd soothe her. Lies smooth as the bourbon I nursed at dive bars. Watching longhorns chew cud on the flats. It's over.
Ma.
We're square. But squares have corners that cut. Elena resurfaced in April. An encrypted video ping on a burner app. Her face filled the screen, paler. Sharper. But eyes alive with that old fire. I sold the penthouse. Half the proceeds to you. Anonymous wire. Go dark. Arya.
He's not done.
Background. Crashing Atlantic waves. A lobster trap swinging from a dock. Cape Cod suited her, raw. Unpolished. A far cry from Manhattan's gloss. We talked for hours. Voices overlapping like sync servers. She spilled the rest. Ethan's meds weren't just pills. He'd rigged her therapy sessions with a shrink on payroll, gaslighting her into doubt. The swap, her Hail Mary, cooked up after overhearing his overdose plot for me. You were collateral, Arya. But family. We improvise. Improvisation led to the next layer of hell. Ethan's trial prep leaked, subpoenas for my parole records. Voss's Jersey lab raided under unlicensed medical experiments. The doc vanished. But not before a parting gift. A dossier on Ethan's web. Tendrils into DC. Lobbying for neural tech deregulation. Sterling Dynamics wasn't just cyber. It was the backbone for black budget mind hacks, government contracts I'd greenlit in naivete. The crime I'd borne? Not just fraud, but enabling shadows that swallowed whistleblowers whole. Ethan hadn't just framed me. He'd weaponized our sins, turning our baby into a beast. Controversy brewed online, Reddit threads dissecting the Sterling sisters' showdown, ex-posts from crypto bros hailing me as anti-hero. Feminist icons decrying Elena's Stockholm shell. I lurked. Anonymous. Heart-twisting. Was I avenger or architect of my cage? The decisions piled up, each grayer than the last. Jax pushed for a tell-all. Monetize the mess.
Girl.
Podcast gold. I toyed with it. Scripting outlines late nights. Hook with the swap. Climax on the drive. Twist on our shared guilt. But publishing meant surfacing. Painting a target. May hit like a heat wave. And with it, Ethan's countermove. A PI knocked at Jax's door. Fedora. Cheap suit. The works, flashing a card from Ethan's firm. MS. Sterling? Your brother's offering a deal. Full exoneration. Shares reinstated, 10%. Clean. I laughed in his face, slamming the door. But the seed wormed in. 10% of a gutted company.
Peanuts.
But exoneration. Wiping the fraud from my record. Mom's pride restored. I paced the garage, boots scuffing concrete, weighing it like faulty code. Take the deal. Betray Elena's escape? Or burn it all? Risk the Hydra's jaws? The tension coiled tighter when Tara resurfaced, Ethan's ex-mistress. Now whistleblower hopeful. Sliding into my DMs via a mutual hacker forum. He played us both.
Arya.
I have tapes, him bragging about the frame job. Post-golf with senators. Her voice clip-crackled. Ethan's slurred drawl. Arya took the heat like a champ. Sisters. Right? Blood's thicker than indictments. Rage boiled fresh. I met her in a Waco diner off by 35. Bandana over my hair. Eyes darting to the parking lot. She was all angles bobbed black hair. Tattoos peeking from her blazer. Nursing a sweet tea like it was hemlock. He's got dirt on you too, she said, sliding a USB across the Formica. Your skim. He recorded the confession. Confession. That night in the sauna. Post-raid. When I'd broken down. Admitting the lone skim over tears and tequila. He'd hugged me then. Promising cover, then used it as leverage. Why now? I pressed. Fork stabbing pie. Tara's eyes hardened. Because fuck him. And because you're the only one who can end it. The tapes were dynamite. Ethan's voice. Unfiltered. Admitting the frame. The swaps he suspected. A bluff to Elena. Testing her. But deploying them? Controversial as hell. Leaked to ProPublica. And I torch his plea deal. But expose my skim to felony territory. Parole be damned. Back in Austin. I synced with Elena via Voss's old proxy. Use them, she urged. Wind whipping her words from the shore. Twist the knife. But doubt festered. Ethan's power wasn't brute. It was relational. A net of favors from Langley to Albany. One leak. And ripples hit innocence. Our old team laid off. Mom's facility fees hiked by associates. The UM deepened. Was revenge justice? Or just trading one cage for another's bars? June's full moon brought the storm. Ethan, out on bail, went public, a tearful 60-minute spot from his ancestral Queen's brownstone, rented for the cameras. My sister's rage blinded her, he sobbed. Handkerchief to eye. But family heals. I'm offering forgiveness, if she'll take it. Clips went viral. Painting me the villain. Elena the victim gaslit into treason. Polls popped up. Should Arya Sterling face charges for corporate sabotage? 60% yes. Jax laughed it off. PR bullshit. But I saw the tide turning. Controversy curdling to condemnation. That's when I decided. No half measures. The plan evolved. Darker. More American. Rags to riches flipped to scorched earth redemption. I'd infiltrate his bail hearing. Not as ghost. But specter. Voss had a contact in the courthouse basement. A disgraced techie with backdoor access to AV feeds. Slip in the tapes. Anonymized. Time to his testimony. Let the judge hear the real Ethan. Unscripted. Controversial? Beyond, tampering charges if caught. But the truth would echo louder. Prep was a grind, forging creds as a court reporter, memorizing layouts from leaked blueprints. Tara fed logistics. Her own angle a book deal. Elena wired seed money. Her voice steady. For us.
Arya.
And the cycle. Jax drove recon. His truck rumbling through Virginia hills to D.C., where the hearing loomed in federal court. Nerves frayed like old cables. What if the anomaly from the swap lingered? A glitch exposing me? Night before. In a Motel 6 off 95. I stared at the ceiling. Water stains like Rorschach sins. Was this high point or cliff dive? Hearing day dawned muggy.
D.C.
Humidity clinging like accusation. I slipped into the press gallery. Notebook in lap. Heart a jackhammer. Ethan took the stand. Suit crisp. Narrative rehearsed. Contrition. Family values. A nod to healing. The judge. A silver-haired hawk named Harlan. Irony's bite. Leaned in. Mr. Sterling. Your sister's actions. I hit the feed from my phone. Hidden under the bench. Tapes rolled. Ethan's voice booming from speakers. Arya took the heat. Blood's thicker. Gasps from the gallery. Bailiff scrambling. Ethan froze. Mouth agape. Then lunged for the mic. Fabrication. She's framing me, again. Chaos erupted. Reporters typing frenzy. His lawyers shouting mistrial. Security swarmed, but I was out the side door. Pulse thundering. Jax's truck idling in foggy bottom. We burned rubber south. Radio crackling with updates. Hearing suspended. Feds rearresting Ethan on site. Victory tasted metallic. Sharp. But as we crossed into Maryland, my burner lit up unknown. You think that's the end? Check the will. Attached, Mom's estate docs. Forged in Ethan's hand years back. He'd written me out.
Post frame.
Claiming my instability. The old Hydra. Heads regrowing. Climax hung heavy. Tension a noose. Ethan's empire teetered.
But mine?
Fractured. Debatable, hero or hacker in the rubble. The drive back to Austin stretched eternal. Interstate blacktop unspooling like a corrupted data stream. Jax's truck eating miles while the radio spat fragments of the unfolding apocalypse. Sterling trial bombshell. The anchor intoned. Voice tinny over static. Audio leaks suggest perjury. Ethan Sterling facing conspiracy charges. I gripped the dash. Knuckles white. The will's PDF burning a hole in my phone. Forgery on top of fraud. Ethan hadn't just erased my shares. He'd ghosted me from Mom's legacy. A $200,000 nest egg from Dad's pension. Rerouted to his trust. The twist reversed everything. Our betrayal wasn't equal. It was engineered. Him puppeteering my desperation like a beta test. We hit the garage at dusk. Cicadas screaming heat from the scrub oaks. Jax cracked windows. Lit a joint, offer waved off and crashed on the couch. Muttering, "You did it, Sterling." Monsters caged. Sleep evaded me. Mind looping the hearing. Ethan's eyes. Wild with betrayal's mirror. Locking on the gallery as if he could smell my skin through the crowd. Did he know? The swap's ghost. Or just brother's intuition. Dawn brought coffee and clarity. No victory lap. The feds would trace the leak. IP pings. Courthouse cams. Time to vanish deeper. Elena called first. Voice electric from the Cape. It's everywhere, Cian. Bloomberg. He's done.
Arya.
We did it. Her laugh cracked. Relief laced with something raw.
Come east.
We start over. Tech co-op for women. No shadows. Tempting. That vision. Salt air. Code for good. Shedding the snake skin of sterling sins. But the will nod. Mom's calls ramped up. Confused. Hurt. Papers say you're cut out. Baby. What happened to family? Ethan's spin. Bleeding through assisted living gossip. I soothed. Promised fixes. But inside. The settled. Heavy as lead code. Debugging impossible. Tara hit next. Triumphant texts. Book agents biting. Swapped secrets. The sterling betrayal. Your cuts 7 figures. Controversies coin. Minted in clicks. I ghosted her. 2 monetizing meant spotlights. And spotlights summoned wolves. Jax pushed practical. Bolt to Mexico.
Sis.
Playa del Carmen gigs. Pina coladas on the beach. American dreams flip side. Exile in flip-flops. But free. Decisions loomed. Each a fork in the algorithm. Stay and fight the will. Risk exposure? Or run? Let the Hydra's corpse rot? July 4th crackled in. Fireworks popping like suppressed gunfire over Lady Bird Lake. We watched from a rooftop bar. Lone stars sweating in our fists. The city below a sprawl of neon ambition. Jax raised his bottle. To plans they never saw coming. I clinked. But the high fizzled fast. A news alert pinged. Ethan transferred to MCC, Metropolitan Correctional. The concrete tomb in Brooklyn. Bail revoked. Assets frozen. Interviews trickled. Ex-employees spilling on his temper. The sister purge. Public tide shifted. Justice for Arya trending. Petitions for my pardon. Debatable salvation. Hero now. Or just the lesser evil. The reversal hit hardest in a Queens motel. En route to confront the will. Mom's facility loomed. A beige bunker off the Van Wyck. Her room smelling of Bengali and faded lavender. She clutched my hand. Veins mapping rivers under paper skin. He said you stole. Arya. From us. Tears welled. And I broke, spilling the skim. The frame. The swap in whispers. Her eyes sharpened. Old fire flickering. Blood's blood. But truth's truth. Fight it, girl. We hugged. Bones fragile as spun glass. And I left with her blessing and a notary's stamp on a codicil. Reinstating me. Ethan's forgery? Crumpled in my pocket. Evidence for the probate war. Back south. The climax crested unexpected. Voss surfaced alive. Holed in a Reno flophouse. Beard grizzled as his theories. The anomaly's key, he rasped over video. Eyes darting. During the swap. Nanites cross-mapped memories. Elena's got fragments of yours, the skim confession. Use it. Wait, what? I dug into Elena's last message. Buried code, a neural dump. Her voice overlaying mine. Recounting that sauna night. Not just audio, video. Pulled from a hidden cam in the penthouse. Ethan. Confessing his cover-up. Then twisting it. We'll blame her fully. Ewan. My on-screen nod. Reluctant but damning. The twist inverted again. I'd agreed. In weakness.
To the frame.
Desperation's pact. But mine. Rage and regret warred. Had I been villain all along? Or victim of my own hack? Voss laughed. Bitter. Human OS. Arya full of backdoors. He sent the full dump. Ethan's entire op. From skim discovery to congressional bribes for neural cover. Nuclear. Leak it all. And his allies scatter but me? Complicit in the conspiracy. The Mind Tech Horrors. Controversial apex. Expose everything. Torch the world we built, or bury it. Let the partial wind stand. August sun baked the decision in. I met Elena in Neutral, a dive in Baltimore. Crab cakes and crabby waitstaff. She looked sea-worn. Stronger. A pendant of her grandmother's glinting at her throat. The memories. They're fading, she said, sipping IPA. But yours, the guilt. It lingers. We talked till closing. Truths unspooling like Ethernet cables. She pushed release. Full disclosure. Let the chips fall. I nodded. But inside, the tension snapped. America's dark heart. Where revenge circles back on itself. The drop happened at dawn. From a VPN in Vancouver, Jax's alias. Full dossier to WikiLeaks mirrors. ProPublica tips. Even Ethan's own defense portal, anonymous. Untraceable. By noon, server smoked, headlines screaming, Sterling scandal, neural nightmares and family fraud. Ethan's cell got a TV. I pictured his face. The final unraveling. Allies bailed, senators denying contracts, VCs dumping stock remnants. The company dissolved. Assets seized for victims, whistleblowers. Me included. But the buy kitsch landed soft. Debatable. Pardon came in September, governor's mercy. Public pressure. Mom got her nest egg back. Plus residuals from a docuseries, Tara's. My silent cut. Elena and I, partners now. In a low-key cybersecurity nonprofit, locking down domestic abuse hotlines. No empires. Jax runs ops. Voss consults freelance. Ethan's sentence, 25. No parole. Letters from him trickle, apologies scrawled in regrets ink. I burn them. But one line haunts. We were the same glitch. Sis. Happy? In fragments. The swap taught me skin slip, but soul's scar permanent. Readers argue, redemption or recursion. In this land of second chances and third strikes, I walk free, but glance back. Always. Who's next to claim the shares?